Welcome back to the Midweek Refuel. I'm Pastor John Widdifield from Remnant Church in Fuquay-Varina, North Carolina, and I am thrilled to continue our journey together through Augustine's Confessions. Last week, we delved into some of the most profound questions about time, questions that have puzzled great minds for centuries. Augustine wrestled with the fleeting nature of time, and he was comparing it to trying to grasp water with your hand. It slips away no matter how tightly we hold on. We saw Augustine humbly acknowledge that while we live within the constraints of time, God, in his infinite wisdom, exists beyond it. Just as Augustine struggled to define time, we too recognize the limits of our understanding when we are confronted with the mysteries of God's eternal nature. Today, we're going to take this exploration even further. We'll look at how Augustine continues to grapple with time, but we'll also bring in some help from some unexpected sources, Zeno's paradox being one of them. Before we dive into today's exploration of Zeno's paradoxes and Augustine's Confessions, let's briefly revisit where we are in Augustine's Confessions. In chapters 15 to 20 of Book 11, Augustine continues his profound meditation on time. He wrestles with the nature of past, present, and future, and he's questioning how we can speak of time when, the past is gone, the future is not yet here, and the present moment is fleeting, and to be honest, nearly impossible to grasp. Augustine marvels at how, despite time's elusive nature, we still experience it and speak of it as if it's something concrete, as if we understand what we're saying. He acknowledges the paradox. We measure time. But what exactly are we measuring? It's this mystery, how time can exist, yet evade our understanding of it, that drives Augustine to deeper and deeper reflections on God's eternity, where past, present, and future are all mysteriously one. Same mystery behind the Trinity, or the Godhead. Now, as we move into today's lesson, we'll see how these reflections align with some of the most famous philosophical puzzles about time and motion, Zeno's paradoxes. Just as Augustine grapples with the fleeting nature of time, Zeno's paradoxes challenge our very understanding of motion and change in time itself. Let's see how these ancient ideas can deepen our understanding of God's eternal nature and our place within his creation. Just as Zeno's paradoxes challenge our understanding of motion and time, Pascal's reflections, Blaise Pascal, his reflections challenge our understanding of existence and our place in the vastness of creation. Since the development of calculus in the 17th century, our understandings of motion and change has been revolutionized. It's enabled us to solve paradoxes like those proposed by Zeno. But let us momentarily set aside our modern knowledge that infinitely small units can sum to a finite answer, and instead allow Zeno to confuse us and confound us once again. The story goes like this. Achilles was challenged by a tortoise to a race, knowing full well that there wasn't a single creature in all of existence, except perhaps the huntress at Atalanta, who would only marry the man who could catch her. Who could best him in a race? Nobody could beat Achilles. Laughing out loud at the slow and docile tortoise, Achilles accepts the challenge, knowing he will easily humiliate this poor little creature. But the turtle knows something that our hero Achilles doesn't know. The turtle understands paradox, and the turtle uses paradox to achieve the impossible. The tortoise knows that if he can persuade Achilles to give him just the slightest of head starts, he will never, ever, ever be able to catch up with him. Well, how does the turtle know he can win this race? How does Yertle the turtle pull off the impossible? Well, this is no teenage mutant ninja turtle. This is just a master of Zeno's paradox. Let's pause for a moment to appreciate the cleverness of this paradox, where something as simple as a head start can confound even the greatest of warriors. Because as long as his opponent keeps getting halfway there, the turtle's already crossed the finish line. slow and steady and mathematically unstoppable. You see, in order to catch up with the turtle, Achilles must first get halfway to the turtle. The problem is this: by the time Achilles reaches the halfway point, the turtle has moved on a little bit. This movement has caused a new middle point to be created. Logically, we can repeat this line of thinking throughout eternity. Achilles will always only be able to get halfway to the turtle. For each time he gets halfway changes, and this cycle of reasoning can be carried out to the most ridiculous of conclusions. Turtle can defeat Achilles in any race in which the turtle is given a head start because of Zeno's paradox. Pause for a moment and think about that. How does it feel to consider that even a great warrior like Achilles could be outpaced by a simple tortoise through the power of what cannot be, through the power of a paradox? Even though we have seen through Zeno's paradox using the concepts that calculus revealed about infinite series and convergences, it still connects with Augustine's reflections on time and space and reality today, now. Time and space are intimately connected, intimately linked together. Time and space, Einstein showed us that time is not as straightforward as we once thought it was. His theories introduced the idea that time can be bent, it can be stretched, and it can be compressed, depending on, of course, forces like gravity and velocity. And while this is fascinating from a scientific perspective, we still experience time as linear or near linear flow of events. Just as Achilles and the tortoise pass each mile marker along their race, we ourselves pass through the mile markers of time as each second, each moment slips by. You can see how closely time and space are related by how we experience them together. To get from point A to point B, one must pass through an infinite number of points. What Augustine and Zeno are both getting at is this: our understanding of time and motion is deeply limited by our human experience. The more we try to grasp it, the more it slips through our fingers. This is as true of years and seconds as it is of miles and inches. Take a moment to consider, how do you experience the flow of time in your own life? Does it feel like a continuous journey? Or do you notice these small, seemingly infinite steps along the way? Each unit of measurement can be divided and divided and divided and divided theoretically forever. This causes some interesting and in some ways very unsettling concepts to form. Augustine realizes the strange truth of our reality. We sit precariously on the edge of an infinitely small moment in time. Think about how often we feel the pressure of time, whether it's meeting deadlines, balancing family life, or simply keeping up with the fast-paced world around us. In an age of instant communication and constant connectivity, time feels more fleeting than it ever has. Let that sink in. How does this idea of the fleeting present resonate with your experience of time? Is it comforting? Is it unsettling? Or perhaps it's a bit of both. To say that it exists is simple, isn't it? Well, it exists. To understand that it exists is to acknowledge the paradox that we are constantly slipping from a future that never fully arrives into a past that no longer is. We live suspended on that tightrope. We live suspended on the razor-thin line of the present moment, whatever that might be, a line so narrow that as soon as we try to grasp it, it's gone. You know that feeling you get when you were a kid and you would spin around in the backyard and you tilt your head back to look up at the sky and the infinite reaches of space, especially at night, especially when we were kids and the light pollution wasn't so thick, and your stomach would jump and turn and spin at the realization of how small we actually are. But then again, we look through the end of a microscope and we see a world that has been hidden in the smallest of realities. And when we watch the microbes and the paramecium swim hither and thither, We feel like Gulliver's Brobdingnagians, getting ready to crush the Lilliputians under our big giant feet. Anytime we begin to ask the real questions of existence, we must brace ourselves, as did old Blaise Pascal. We must brace ourselves for both shock and for awe. Before we dive into Pascal's profound reflections, take a moment right now to think about the last time you encountered a truth that shook your understanding. How did it challenge your view of the world? How did it challenge your worldview? Pascal wrote in the pages of his Pensées, "We sail within a vast sphere, ever drifting in uncertainty, driven from end to end. When we think to attach ourselves to any point and to fasten to it, it wavers and leaves us. And if we follow it, it eludes our grasp, slips past us, vanishes forever. Nothing stays for us. This is our natural condition, and yet most contrary to our inclination. We burn with desire to find solid ground and an ultimate sure foundation whereon to build a tower reaching to the infinite. But our whole groundwork cracks, and the earth opens to abysses." In our world today, that uncertainty can take many forms: economic instability, global crises, or even personal doubts about the path in life. Just as Pascal felt the weight of the unknown, we too grapple with the vastness of our circumstances and the unpredictability of our futures. Yet it's in these moments of uncertainty that our faith becomes a beacon guiding us through the fog. Augustine makes a similar conclusion when he writes, quote, "If then the past and future are, I want to know where they are. And if I cannot yet grasp this, I know at least that wherever they are not there as future or past, but as present. For if they are there as future, they are not yet there, and if they are there as past, they are no longer there," unquote. No matter how you think about it, whether your point of departure is grounded in space or time, it makes no difference. In our daily lives, we often seek stability, whether it's in our jobs, our relationships, or even our daily routines. Yet, as Augustine and Pascal remind us, true stability cannot be found in the things of this world, which are constantly shifting and changing. Instead, it lies in the eternal nature of God, who remains constant through all the uncertainties we face. You, by virtue of the mind God blessed you with, find yourself sitting in a sea of uncertain futures, bygone past, vast expanses of space, and claustrophobic corners of the microscopic. We yearn for stability, a fixed point in this ever-shifting universe. But as Pascal and Augustine remind us, such a foundation remains tantalizingly out of reach. Yet, perhaps it is within this very tension, this dance between the infinite and the infinitesimal, that the true beauty and mystery of our existence lie. Pascal, even while being consumed by the Lovecraftian nightmare that surrounds him and us, says this, quote, "Man is but a reed, the most feeble thing in nature, but he is a thinking reed. The entire universe need not arm itself to crush him. A vapor, a drop of water suffices to kill him. But if the universe were to crush him, man would still be more noble than that which killed him, because he knows that he dies, and the advantage which the universe has over him, the universe knows nothing of this," unquote. We are, after all, thinking reeds, according to Pascal, capable of questioning, exploring, and finding meaning, even amidst uncertainty. Let's turn now to Book 11, and we will be reading from chapters 15.18 on through 20.26. And while you are turning there, if you have enjoyed this lesson so far, would you do me a favor and take a moment to slap the like button and the subscribe button? help us stay trending. It lets us get to more ears in the name of Jesus Christ. Your support is greatly appreciated. And if you need a copy of the Confessions, it is in the public domain, and it can be downloaded for free from sites like Project Gutenberg, and I will put a link to them down in the description below. And make sure to look over all of our helpful little links down there, but make sure that you pay close attention this week to the new item out there. At the very bottom, we have added a link to our church app. You can load it right on your phone. The link will take you directly there. The app has many features, including a prayer wall. That's very important. And so make sure to download it and let Remnant Church pray for you and pray for your family and your prayer needs. All right, let's begin. We say a long time and a short time, but only say this of past or future time. We call a past time long if it was, for example, 100 years ago, and a future time long if it is 100 years from now. We call a past time short if it was, say, 10 days ago, and a future time short if it is 10 days from now. But how can that which does not exist be long or short? What is past no longer exists, what is future does not yet exist. We should not say it is long ago or it is far in the future. Rather, we should say it was long ago or it will be far in the future. My Lord, my light, will not your truth laugh at men in this matter also? A time that was long, was it long when it was already past or while it was still present? It had the means to be long at that time when there was something to be long, but when it was past, it no longer existed. And that which had no existence, whatever, had no means to be long. We should not then say it was a long time past, for we shall not find anything to have been long, seeing as since it became past, it does not exist. Rather, we should say it was a long time present, since it was long while it was present. It had not yet passed on into non-existence, hence it had the means to be long, but when it passed on, it simultaneously ceased to be, and hence to be long. Let us see then, soul of man, whether the present time has the means to be long. It is given to you to perceive and to measure lapses of time. What answer will you give me? Are 100 present years a long time? Let us see first whether 100 years can be present. In the case of the first year, then that year is present, but 99 are in the future, and therefore do not yet exist. In the case of the second year, 1 year is already past, another is present, the rest are in the future, so also we may say of any intermediate year out of that 100, before it will be the years in the past, after it the years in the future. The 100 years, therefore, will not have the means to be all present. Let us see then whether any given year is itself present. In the case of its first month, the other months are in the future. In the case of the second month, the first had passed and the rest do not yet exist. Therefore, not even the year in question is wholly present. And if the whole year is not present, it is not the year that is present. A year is 12 months, of which any one given month is present, the rest either past or future. Although even the month in question is not present but one day. If it is the first day, the rest are in the future. If it is the last, the rest are past. If it is any of those that intervene, it is in between past and future days. So it is that the present, the one time that we found worthy of the name long, is contracted to the space of scarcely one day. But let us consider even that space of time. Even one day is not wholly present. It is made up of hours, of day and night, 24 in all. To the first of these hours, the rest are in the future. To the last, the rest are in the past. To any of the intervening hours, some are in the past and some are in the future. Even that 1 hour is made up of little fleeting moments. What part of it has flown away is past. Whatever remains to it is future. If we comprehend any atom of time that can no longer be divided into the parts of moments, however short, that atom is the only thing that can be called the present. But even this flies so swiftly from the future to the past that it cannot be assigned a fraction of a moment's extension. For if it has extension, it is divided into past and future, whereas the present has no space. Where then is there a time that we can call long? Is it the future? We do not say it is long in the future, as there is not yet anything to be long. Rather, we say it will be long in the future. When then will it be? If even then it will still be in the future, it will not be long, for there will not yet be anything to be long. If, however, it will be long at just that time when out of that non-existent future it comes into being and becomes the present, thereby providing for the possibility of something that could be long, then the present cries out with all the arguments set out above that it is impossible for it to be long. And yet, O Lord, we do perceive intervals of time. We compare them to each other and say that some are longer and others shorter. We can also measure how much longer or shorter one is than another and say that it is twice as long or 3 times as long as another, or that one is the same length as the other. But when we perceive and measure periods of time, that time is passing by. And who can measure things past, which no longer exist, or future, which do not yet exist? Or does someone venture to say that it is possible to measure the non-existent? It is, as time passes by, then that it can be perceived and measured. Once past, it does not exist, and hence cannot be measured. I am asking questions, Father, not making assertions. Be my ruler and guide me. Who is there that would venture to tell me that there are not 3 tenses, past, present, and future, just as we learned as boys and as we teach boys, but that there is only the present, as the other 2 do not exist? Or is it that the past and the future also exist, but when the present comes to be out of the future, it proceeds from something hidden, and into something hidden it returns? When from the present it becomes the past. For when have those who have made prophecy seen these future events if they do not yet exist? What does not exist cannot be seen, nor could those who relate past events relate them truly, if they did not perceive them in their minds. But if they did not exist, they could not be perceived at all. The future and the past then exist. Let me question further, O Lord, my hope. Let not my concentration be disturbed. For if the future and past exist, I wish to know where they exist. If I cannot yet know this, I know at least that wherever they are not future or past there, but present. If they are future, there also they do not yet exist there. And likewise, if they are past there, they no longer exist there. Wherever and whatever they are, if they exist, they must be present. Although when a true account of the past is given, it is not the past events themselves that are retrieved from the memory, but words conceived of the images of those events, which in passing by they have stamped on the mind through the senses. My boyhood no longer exists. It is in the past, which no longer exists. When I recall it and speak of it, it is the image of it that I contemplate in the present time, for that image exists still in my memory. Whether this is why future events can be predicted, whether we have presentiment of the already existent images of things that are themselves still non-existent, I confess, my God, I do not know. But this I do know. We generally premeditate our future actions, and that premeditation is present, whereas the action which we premeditate does not yet exist, being in the future. When we go about this action and set about doing what we premeditated, it is then the action exists. Then it is assuredly not future, but present. By whatever means the secret capacity for presentiment of future events exists, only the existent can be seen. What already exists is not future, but present. When we say that we see the future, it is not the non-existent that is the future that we see, but their causes or perhaps tokens of them that we see. These causes or tokens already exist. They are, therefore, not future, but already present to those who see them, and from them they conceive the future in their minds and predict it. Moreover, these conceptions already exist and are present to those who make the predictions as they contemplate them within. Let me take one example from all the many. I contemplate the first glow of dawn. I foretell that the sun is going to rise. What I contemplate is present when what I foretell is future. It is not the sun that is in the future, for that already exists, but its rising which does not yet exist. But if I did not form an image of its rising in my mind, just as I now do as I talk of it, I could not predict it. But neither the glow of dawn that I see in the sky is the sunrise, although one precedes the other, nor is my mental image of it. These two things are present to enable me to predict the sunrise in the future. Things future then do not yet exist, and if they do not yet exist, they do not exist. And if they do not exist, they cannot be seen. But they can be predicted from things present which already exist and can be seen. Tell me then, ruler of your creation, what are the means by which you teach souls things in the future? You taught your prophets. By what means do you teach the future, you to whom there is nothing future? Or do you rather teach things present from the future? For what does not exist cannot be taught either. Your means are far beyond my sight. They are too excellent for me, and of myself I cannot attain them. But with your help I can, for it is you, sweet light of my secret eyes, that have given me this power. It is now transparently clear that things future and things past do not exist, and that it is not correct to say that there are three tenses, past, present, and future, though it may be true to say that there are three tenses, the past regarding the past, the present regarding the present, and the present regarding the future. These three times do exist in some way in the soul, though I do not see them elsewhere. Present memory regarding the past, present contemplation regarding the present, and present expectation regarding the future. If it is permissible to say this, then I see and acknowledge that there are three times, past, present, and future. Let it even be said with the customary catechesis. There are three sorts of time, past, present, and future. Let it be said. I do not mind. I offer no resistance or reproach, but let it be understood that this is a manner of speaking, and that neither the future nor the past now exist. For there are few things that we call by their proper names, and more that we do not, but still recognize what we mean. And there it is, folks. Augustine wraps it all up by reminding us that words often fail us. Yet, even though they fail us, we still tend to grasp the meaning behind them. He doesn't cower before the vastness of the unknown. Instead, he marvels at the gift of God, the sheer miracle of our ability to be able to reason. We might use different words, we might hold different views, see the world through different lenses, but we all share this incredible capacity for thought, this hunger for truth with a capital T, this yearning to reach beyond ourselves. That's what makes us special, folks. That's what makes us thinking reeds, just like Pascal said. In a world that can sometimes feel too big, too chaotic, too much, we have this amazing ability to ponder its mysteries, wrestle with its paradoxes, and search for meaning in the midst of it all. And that's where our hope lies. Not in figuring out every single detail of existence, not in pinning down time like a butterfly on a display board, but in embracing the gift of our minds, in seeking to understand, and in trusting the one who made both the universe and our ability to be awestruck by it. As you think about these things, share your revelations with us down in the comments section below. Be a blessing. How does the concept of living on the razor's edge of the present resonate with your own experience of time? Do you find it unsettling, exhilarating, or something else entirely? In what ways can Augustine's and Pascal's reflections on the limitations of human understanding deepen our faith and trust in God? And if we are indeed thinking reads, as Pascal suggests we are, what is our responsibility in using this gift? How can we leverage our capacity for thought and reflection to find meaning and purpose in our daily lives? This week, as you face the pressures of your daily life, whether at work, home, or in your personal time, I challenge you to pause and consider the eternal perspective. In those moments when time feels like it's slipping away, remember to anchor yourself in the truth that God holds all of time and eternity in his hands. How can you, today, make time for God, trust in his timing, and find peace in his presence? Now, let's embrace this call together, knowing that we are held in the eternal hands of the eternal one who is beyond all time and beyond all space, who knows our every single thought and guides our every single step. May we, like St. Augustine, find peace and purpose in this knowledge. May we use the gift of our minds to seek him, to know him, and to love him now and forever. In a world filled with uncertainty, let us take comfort in the fact that Christ reigns supreme. He is our steadfast anchor, our unshakable foundation, our eternal hope. Christ is King. Hail to the King.